They clapped when I got fired. Then I showed them the truth. At the end of year team meeting, my manager stood up in front of everyone and said, "We've decided. Alex is no longer part of this team." People clapped. Some even smiled. I just nodded, reached into my backpack, and handed him a flash drive. I knew this day was coming. I didn't know how or when, but I knew, and I came prepared. Now, before we get to what was on that drive, let me tell you how it got this far. Because this wasn't about one bad day at work or one mistake. This was years in the making. This was betrayal in slow motion. It started when I joined the company 5 years ago, fresh out of school, ready to work hard and prove myself. I wasn't loud, I wasn't flashy, I just did my job. I was the kind of guy who stayed late to fix bugs no one else wanted to touch, who'd pick up the slack when someone missed a deadline, who actually read the documentation. And for a while that worked. People liked having me around because I made their jobs easier. But then Tom got promoted, and everything changed. Tom was one of those guys who talks a lot but says nothing. Always in a blazer, always using phrases like "let's circle back" and "leverage cross-functional assets." The kind of guy who takes credit for other people's work, but somehow makes you feel like you should thank him for it. At first, I didn't mind. I figured whatever, let him play the game, I'll stick to what I do best. But I started noticing things. My name disappearing from project summaries. Code I wrote being presented as someone else's. Bugs I fixed suddenly marked as resolved by Tom. It was subtle at first. Then it got worse. One time, I spent a whole weekend fixing a back-end issue that had been haunting the platform for months. On Monday, during the team stand-up, Tom said, "Big shout out to Jess for knocking that out." Jess looked just as confused as I was. Later, she told me, quote, "He told me to go with it. Said it was a team win. A team win." Right. Then came the meetings I wasn't invited to. Emails I wasn't CC'd on. My tickets being reassigned without explanation. I brought it up once, privately. Asked Tom if there was something wrong. Something I should be aware of. He smiled and said, "Just streamlining communication. Nothing personal." But it was personal. I could feel it. And I wasn't the only one. Raj, one of the junior devs, pulled me aside one day and said, "You're not imagining it. He's cutting you out. We all see it. We're just trying to stay out of it." That hurt. Not just the exclusion, but the silence. The way everyone pretended it was fine because it wasn't happening to them. Still, I kept working. I figured maybe it would blow over. Maybe if I just kept my head down, kept delivering, someone would notice, someone would step in. No one did. Then came the big one, the product launch. 6 months of planning, testing, debugging, building infrastructure from scratch. I led the back-end team, designed the architecture, dealt with the nightmare APIs, got it stable. The night before launch, I stayed in the office till 3 a.m., making sure nothing would crash. Next day, it went live flawlessly. And in the company-wide email, guess who got the credit? Huge thanks to Tom for leading the charge on this successful rollout. That's when I snapped. I didn't say anything. I didn't write a complaint. I just started collecting emails, Git logs, Slack messages, Jira tickets, meeting invites, everything. I made backups. I saved timestamps. I even screen recorded a few one-on-one calls with Tom where he said things like, "Let's keep your name off this one for optics," and "You're a team player, Alex, you don't need recognition." Yeah, okay. Then came the performance review. This was about a month before that final meeting. I walk in thinking, all right, I've got evidence, I've got data. They'll see what I've done. Tom sits down across from me, looks at the paper in front of him and goes, "So listen, we've had some concerns." I blink. "Concerns?" He nods like he's about to fire me from a sitcom. "There's been feedback that you're not collaborating well, that your attitude has shifted, that you're not aligned with the team." I wanted to laugh. I really did. But I just sat there and said, "Could you be more specific?" He shrugs. "It's not just one thing. It's a pattern. And honestly, I've tried to shield you from some of it, but leadership is starting to ask questions." Shield me? The man was stabbing me in the back and calling it protection. I said nothing. Just nodded, took the paperwork, walked out. That night, I added a new folder to the drive, labeled it HR. A week later, I sent an email to HR outlining everything. I attached documents, logs, screenshots. I included a summary timeline. It was professional, factual, no emotion, just receipts. HR responded 2 days later with, "Thanks for bringing this to our attention. We're looking into it." Then nothing. No follow-up, no meeting, no change. Then the calendar invite came. Year-end all-hands meeting, mandatory attendance. I knew something was up. I could feel it in my gut. So I copied everything onto a flash drive, labeled it for Tom, and showed up early. The meeting started like they always do. Tom in front of the room acting like a wannabe TED Talk speaker. talking about synergy and goals for Q1 and how proud he is of the team's growth. Then he switches slides and says, "Before we wrap, there's one more thing we need to address." That's when I knew. He clicked and my face popped up on the screen. A headshot from my ID badge, big and awkward. Effective immediately, he said, "Alex will no longer be part of this team." He didn't say why, didn't give any context. Just moved on like it was normal. Like cutting someone out in front of the whole department was part of the agenda. People clapped. Not all of them, but enough. I saw Jess smiling, doing that fake supportive face like she's sad but also relieved. Raj looked down at his lap. One guy in the back muttered, "Damn," under his breath. I stood up, calm. No drama, no yelling. Just reached into my bag and pulled out the flash drive. I walked to the front of the room, handed it to Tom, and said, "Might want to check that before your next presentation." Then I walked out. No one stopped me. No one said a word. I didn't go home right away. I went to the diner across the street and ordered pancakes I didn't even want. Just needed somewhere quiet, somewhere to breathe. I watched the door, waited. 10 minutes later, my phone buzzed. Email from HR, then another, then a text from Raj. "Bro, what the hell was on that drive?" I didn't answer. I already knew. The folder on that drive was called Proof. Inside were months of documentation. Everything I'd built. Every time I'd been erased. Every project where Tom took credit. Every Slack message where he manipulated people into backing him up. There was even an audio clip. One of those one-on-one check-ins where he said, "Look, let's be honest. Leadership listens to me. They're not going to side with you. Just keep your head down and you'll be fine." He said that to me. Out loud. I recorded it. Time-stamped. Clean. You could hear him sip his coffee after saying it. I didn't even have to narrate. The files told the story on their own. And it wasn't just about me. I included Jess's name too. The way she'd started feeding Tom updates behind people's backs. There were messages from her that said stuff like, "Alex is getting pushy again. Thought you should know." Like I was some kind of threat. I didn't even hate her. Not really. I just felt tired. Tired of pretending people like that were teammates. Tired of acting like I was imagining it. That night, HR called. Not emailed. Called. First time ever. The tone had changed. "We'd like to talk about your concerns," the woman said, suddenly all polite. "Can you come in tomorrow?" I told her no. Told her I'd already said what I needed to say. And I meant it. I didn't want to go back. Didn't want some fake apology. I wanted peace. Still, it didn't end there. A couple days later, I got a message from Jess. "Hey, can we talk?" I ignored it. Then another. I didn't know he'd actually do that in front of everyone. I thought it'd be private, like that changed anything. Then she said the part that really showed her hand. "HR is investigating. I'm scared they'll drag me into it. Can you maybe clarify that I didn't mean to hurt you?" No. No, I could not. Then Tom emailed me. One line. "I see what you did." That was it. No apology. No explanation. Just ego. I didn't respond. But I saved it. Then the wildest thing happened. People started messaging me. People I hadn't talked to in weeks. Months. I didn't know all that was going on. "I'm sorry we didn't speak up." That was badass. And my favorite one from Raj, they suspended Tom. Turns out the drive hit harder than I thought. HR couldn't ignore it. Couldn't spin it. They put him on leave pending review. Jess got reassigned. Quietly. No fanfare. No Slack announcement. Just gone from the team channel. The best part? My name showed up again. In the credits of the launch project. In the system logs. They restored it. Someone even tagged me on LinkedIn. Said none of this would have happened without Alex. I didn't like the spotlight. But it felt right. Like for once, the truth didn't get buried. The company offered me my job back. Said they'd give me a new manager. A raise. A fresh start. I turned them down. Because it was never just about the title or the paycheck. It was about the trust they broke. About the way they watched it happen and said nothing. I found a new job. One where my work actually has my name on it. One where I don't have to record conversations just to feel safe. It's not perfect. But it's mine. I sleep better now. I don't flinch when the phone buzzes. I don't rehearse comebacks in my head. I just live. The last thing I heard about Tom was that he took a leave of absence to focus on personal growth. Corporate speak for, we told him to disappear quietly. Jess? She still works there. Still smiles in every Zoom call like nothing happened. But the team? The team knows now. They saw the truth. And so did I. After I turned the company down, I thought that would be the end of it. I figured they'd clean things up, move on, pretend none of it ever happened. And for a minute, it looked like that's exactly what they were doing. But a week later, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. I almost let it go to voicemail. But something told me to pick up. "Hi, Alex. This is Morgan from Legal." Not HR Legal. My stomach dropped a little. "We're reviewing internal processes and documentation related to your recent claims. Would you be open to answering a few questions?" I said no. I told them everything they needed was on the drive. That was my statement, period. She paused, then said, "Understood. If you change your mind, here's my direct line." Click. I hung up and just sat there staring at my phone. Legal. Not HR. That meant this wasn't just a slap on the wrist. Someone had dug into that folder and realized just how deep it all went. It wasn't just Tom being shady. It was systemic. The silence. The complicity. The way HR ignored me until it became a PR issue. I'd exposed a whole rot they didn't want to admit existed. And I think they were scared. Not of me, but of what else might come out if I kept talking. I didn't want revenge. I wasn't trying to blow up the company. I just wanted the truth out. I wanted to be done. But the truth has this funny way of sticking to people who run from it. A few days later, I get a LinkedIn message from some guy named Jordan. Works in the same company, different department. "Hey, just wanted to say thank you. What you did. Brave as hell. A bunch of us had our own stories, but didn't think we'd be believed. You opened the door." That message hit me. Hard. Because for months I'd felt crazy. Gaslit. Like maybe I was the problem. Like maybe I wasn't a team player or just too sensitive. But that message told me I wasn't alone. I replied. We chatted. Turns out Tom had a pattern across departments. Different names, same tactics. Jordan even forwarded me an email thread where Tom tried to pin a failed project on someone who'd left the company. That person had quit suddenly, no explanation. Now it made sense. People weren't just moving on, they were running. I sent the thread to legal. No reply. But the next day, Tom's company profile disappeared from the site. Not on leave. Not taking time. Just gone. Like he never worked there. Jess's LinkedIn suddenly changed too. No more current employer listed. Just open to opportunities. The whole team Slack got a new manager, one I'd never met. Clean sweep. Quiet reset. Like they were trying to erase the damage without admitting it happened. Classic, but the messages kept coming. One from a contractor I barely remembered. "Dude, I saw what you did. Respect. Wish I had your guts." Another from a designer I worked with once, 2 years ago. "You always treated us like actual humans. Just wanted to say thanks." They were small, simple, but they mattered. Because for so long, I thought no one noticed. That I was invisible. Replaceable. Turns out people remember how you make them feel. And people remember who stood up when no one else would. Around that time, Raj messaged me again. Said the team was different now. Quieter, like the air had shifted. Said he wished he'd said something sooner. I told him it was fine. It wasn't, really. But I meant it. I didn't need his apology. I'd already made peace. Still, something about what he said stuck with me. The air had shifted. And not just there. In me too. I started applying to new jobs without feeling like I was running from something. I started going to therapy. Real therapy. Not just venting to friends. And for the first time, I stopped trying to be the good guy. The one who stays quiet, who keeps the peace, who makes everyone else comfortable at his own expense. I stopped explaining myself, stopped defending things I didn't do, stopped apologizing for taking up space, and man, it felt good. I'd spent so long walking on eggshells around people like Tom, trying not to make waves, trying to be easy to work with. But being easy to work with had become code for easy to step on. Not anymore. One morning, I made a list of every time I stayed silent to keep the peace. 27 items. Emails I didn't send. Conversations I avoided. Credit I gave away. All of it. Then I deleted the list. Because I was done carrying it. That version of me, he served his purpose. He got me through 5 hard years. But he's gone now. And I'm still here. About a month after everything went down, I moved. Not across the country or anything. Just out of that apartment where every corner reminded me of late nights, fixing Tom's mess. Every coffee stain tied to a sprint I didn't get credit for. New place. New setup. No badge access. No Slack pings at midnight. Just silence. Clean, quiet, real silence. And at first it was weird, like my nervous system didn't believe it. I kept waiting for the next blow, the next snide comment disguised as feedback, the next team update that somehow didn't include me. But nothing came. And eventually, I started to breathe again. I got a new job. Mid-sized tech company. Chill culture. Remote. During the interview, my future manager asked, "What are you looking for in a team?" And without even thinking, I said, Somewhere I don't have to watch my back. She blinked, then said, "Yeah, that makes sense." I got the offer 2 days later. Full autonomy. Flexible schedule. Actual mentorship. My name on my work. It felt surreal. Like I was finally back in my own life. Not someone else's idea of who I should be. I started going outside more. Cooking. Not just grabbing takeout at 10 p.m. after debugging a server crash that wasn't mine. I called my sister for the first time in months. I'd pulled away from her during the whole thing, too exhausted to be present. She picked up and said, "Holy crap, are you alive?" I laughed. First real laugh in a while. We talked for hours. Caught up. She told me, "I always knew you were loyal. I just didn't know how much it was costing you." And that stuck with me. Because she was right. Loyalty's great, until you give it to people who weaponize it. And Tom, that company, they didn't just use it, they banked on it. They counted on me being the guy who wouldn't push back, who wouldn't raise his voice, who'd rather quit quietly than cause a scene. And I almost did. I came so close to just walking away without saying a word, letting them rewrite the narrative like they always did. But I didn't. I left the truth on the table and walked out with my head up. That folder, that flash drive, that was never revenge. It was a mirror. And they finally had to look. A few weeks later, I got one last email from an old dev I barely knew. Junior guy. Said he'd been thinking of quitting until he heard what happened. Said it made him realize maybe he wasn't crazy. Maybe the system was rigged, and maybe it wasn't his fault. "I stayed," he wrote. "I pushed back. Because of you." I read that one twice. Then I closed the email and sat with it. Not pride, not ego, just quiet. Like I'd finally taken my hands off a weight I didn't know I was carrying. I don't know what happened to Tom after that. Don't care. I heard rumors, consulting, trying to rebrand, same old buzzwords. Whatever. Jess popped up on a job board a few months later. Still smiling. Still pretending. I didn't reach out. I didn't need to. Because this isn't about them anymore. It's about what happens when you stop shrinking yourself to fit places that were never meant for you. When you stop mistaking silence for strength. When you finally say, out loud, "No, that's not okay." I wake up now without checking Slack first. Without the dread. Without the tightness in my chest that used to hit before every meeting. I have weekends again. Real ones. Not on-call alerts. Not backup deployments. Just time. Space. Me. And you know what? I thought I'd miss it. The chaos. The grind. The weird sense of importance that came from always being needed. But I don't. I miss nothing. Because this version of me? He sleeps better. Eats better. Thinks clearer. And he knows exactly what he's worth. So if you're out there, reading this, wondering if you're being too sensitive, too dramatic, too much, listen. You're not. You're just finally noticing the weight you've been told to carry in silence. You don't have to carry it anymore. You can set it down, you can walk away, you can build something new. I did. And I'm not surviving anymore. I'm living.